There we go. Hi, everybody. Thank you all for coming. This is a session about Fulbright, Critical Language Scholarships, and the Boren Awards. We have Dr. Taylor Kent here to present, as well as Megan Wagner. They're each going to take time to talk about these different opportunities for you. So I'll let them take it away. I do want to remind you that we are recording this session. So if you have any questions that you want to ask, but you don't want to turn on your mic, you're welcome to throw them in the chat, as that won't be recorded, or send them in a DM to me directly.
Hi, good afternoon, everybody. I'm Megan Wagner from the Capstone International Center. And to start off this session, I'm going to be talking about Fulbright Awards. So the Fulbright program was started in 1946 by an appropriation in Congress. And they're unique from other grant awards because they really care about fostering mutual understanding between nations. So Fulbright Awards are for people who have earned at least a bachelor's degree and want to live and work abroad for 8 to 10 months after the completion of a bachelor's degree. There's awards available in teaching or research, or even to earn 1-year master's degrees. It's sponsored by the US State Department, and it's administered by an organization called IIE. And you work with Fulbright program advisors here at UA, and I'm one of those that helps with your application and to choose what kind of award you want, and ultimately be able to go abroad on a fully funded international opportunity. So Fulbright is available to graduating seniors. So you can apply during your last year of college to leave in the months after you graduate. Also recent graduates, graduate students who are maybe mid-master's program or working on a PhD dissertation, and early career professionals. And Fulbright Awards are also for people who have interests in creative and performing arts, acting, creative writing, musicians, things like that. You do have to be a US citizen. You cannot have finished a PhD by the time you would start this Fulbright Award. That's when you become a Fulbright Scholar instead of a Fulbright student. We also work with Fulbright Scholars on campus, so a lot of your professors who are interested in getting the same type of funding, but on a different program. There are over 2,000 US student Fulbright Awards that are available every year. The ones that we're going to focus on are Study Research Awards and English Teaching Assistantships. So Study Research Awards are really awesome. You get to pick any topic that you are interested in and self-design a research project. So it's independent research. This can be in a science like physics or biology, but it can also be a social science or humanity, like writing a book or working on some sort of anthropology research. You choose the country that you're going to apply to based on what your research is interested in, and you reach out to the host country to find somebody who's willing to work with you. We call them an affiliate, and oftentimes it's somebody at a university that is actively researching what you're interested in. Your Fulbright program advisors at UA are here to help you kind of, narrow down your research topic and find a country that's a good choice. The more popular choice, with about 300 more awards, is an English teaching assistantship. If you have any experience teaching, tutoring, mentoring, coaching, facilitating, training, anything like that, the ETA may be for you. It is not a full-time teaching position. It's an assistant to a teacher in a foreign classroom teaching English. These are definitely the more popular awards. There's really common locations that students like to go, like Spain, Colombia, Germany, Malaysia, Indonesia, South Korea, places like that. And also some that you kind of may never think about. So the sky's a little bit the limit for ETAs, but they are looking for people with teaching experience. And both of these awards are fully funded for 8 to 10 months, so they're at no cost to you. You apply approximately 1 year in advance. So every fall in September, the University of Alabama has a campus deadline where you submit your applications and we look at them. We have a campus committee interview to help you improve your application, and then they're due to the national committee at IIE in early October every year. You can start working with a Fulbright campus advisor here at UA as early as you want. If you know where you want to go or what you want to do, that's great. If you have no idea, we can help you improve your resume a year before you want to apply, or even 2 years before you want to apply, so that you become more competitive when you're ready. Every year, the semifinalists are announced in January, and the winners are announced in March, April, or May. So even though you're applying in September, normally when you're a senior, the award won't leave until a year later, oftentimes the earliest August or September of the next year. So we are here to help you through a somewhat rigorous application process. Fully funded means you get round-trip airfare, a monthly stipend, which is kind of like a salary, some accident benefits, and there's other possible benefits like language lessons or tuition at a local university. If you want to lead programs on a topic of your choice, there may be enhancement funds available. Fulbright has a lot of things that they look for, but some of the most important ones are personal qualifications and how you will diversify the cohort of Fulbrighters who are going to your country. And this is an academically prestigious award. You know, we want to see that you're successful in academics, but also in your personal life, in your extracurricular activities, and how you're able to engage with your community. Here's our Fulbright program advisors, Dr. Hawk, Dr. Feminella, and myself. We're available year-round to talk with applicants. Also, Fulbright has a website, fulbrightonline.org, that you can find a lot of this information. Pages and pages and pages, more than I could possibly tell you in just a couple of minutes. So we are here to help you, and UA has a really good reputation of successful Fulbright applications. So we are ready to help you. And I'm open for any questions after Dr. Kent is finished presenting about the next 2 awards. So I'm going to stop sharing this and have Dr. Kent pull hers up.
All right, thank you so much, Megan. I'm gonna go ahead and share my screen with you all. Okay, can you all see that okay? Yes?
Yes, you are good to go.
Okay, great, thank you. All right, great. So my name is Taylor Kent at the from the Capstone International Center, and I'm here to talk to you today about really 2 separate opportunities. One being the CLS, or the Critical Language Scholarship Program, and the other, the Boren Awards. These awards have some similarities, but they're also different in some very interesting ways. So we'll just start off with the Critical Language Scholarship Program, which is a summer program that, like the Boren Awards, is also funded by the U.S. Department of State with additional funding provided by the U.S. government. CLS is a summer study abroad program. It's open to students in really all fields. So no matter what your major is, no matter what you are studying, you are an eligible student for this scholarship. If you do end up winning this award, it will be fully funded. The US government will pay for your airfare, will pay for your costs associated with the program. Additionally, the Critical Language Scholarship is especially for those who are interested in studying languages that are less commonly taught at US universities. These critical languages have been deemed by the US government as critical to our engagement with the world and to US national security and economic prosperity. The intent is that students who have completed the Critical Language Scholarship Program are going to be better prepared to compete in a globalized workforce. In terms of what languages you can study or choose to apply for the Critical Language Scholarship Program, all of these on this slide are possibilities. Some of them have no experience required. So Azerbaijani, Bangla, Hindi, Indonesian, Persian, Punjabi, Swahili, Turkish, and Urdu. You can apply having had no prior experience in the language. If you are interested in applying for Arabic, Korean, Portuguese, or Russian, you need 1 year of study. And by that, they mean academic study or the equivalent. So you have to have had the equivalent of two semesters, so 1 academic year of study if you want to apply for those 4 languages. For Chinese and Japanese, 2 years of study, so the equivalent of 4 academic semesters. And that's just the level that you're going to be applying for. So it's possible that you may have had not taken college level classes and you still have the equivalent skill level of 2 semesters for the 1 year of study required, or 4 semesters for the 2 years of study required. If you are unsure about what language level to apply for, that is a question that you can talk to me about. Typically what students do if they're unsure is they speak to a teacher or a professor or a native speaker of this language and have their skill level assessed to make sure that they meet the requirements and that they're applying for the right language level. And again, that is, if you see the star down at the bottom of the slide here, it says by the time you begin the program, that is the language level that you're going to anticipate having attained in that particular language by the start of the summer program. As I mentioned before, this is a program that is fully funded by the US government. The things that are covered if you are to receive this award are domestic travel to Washington, D.C. for an orientation before the start of the program, round-trip international airfare to the program location and site. CLS works with partner institutions, so you will be attending classes for anywhere from 6 to 10 weeks at an institution abroad in a language, in a city where the language you are learning is widely spoken. Any visa fees, housing, meals, classroom instruction, all of your cultural programming as part of the CLS program, including any group trips that you will take with your cohort as part of the program, are also going to be covered by this award. You will also be receiving undergraduate academic credit from Bryn Mawr College if you are given the award. Partner institutes are where you will be essentially taking classes. Each institute for each particular language, and sometimes there are several different institutes per language, will host up to 30 CLS students. Everybody in your cohort will have kind of the same weekly schedule. You'll be pretty busy when you're abroad at these summer language institutes. You're going to have roughly the equivalent of 20 hours of language classes per week. In addition, you will have cultural activities and local excursions to various places. Sometimes there will be weekend overnight group trips, but it really is a group-based immersive language program. And we really mean immersive language program. Students who participate in this program will experience very rapid language gains in a very short amount of time. And it will also be immersed very fully in the culture. You're applying for a particular language, not a country, so it's not really up to you where you will end up, what city or even what country you may end up in, but rather you apply for a language, and then based on your specific needs and specific language level, you would then be placed at one of the partner institutions. And we'll talk about kind of where those places are, what information you can get on what cities are the locations kind of at the end of this presentation. So again, you apply for a language, not a country. There is a language policy. You will take a language pledge for the duration of the program to ensure that you are only speaking the target language for the duration of the program. So really for the whole time, you're going to be speaking no English. It really is an immersion program. In addition to that, most of the students who participate in CLS live with host families. So you'll get an additional level of cultural immersion with regards to that. And all students will also be working with a language partner as kind of an extracurricular part of the language programming. It's a very, as I mentioned, a kind of a group-based program. Being able to work together as a cohort is something that you should highlight in your application materials, because this is going to be kind of a group effort. You will be working very closely with the other people in your group to kind of assist you in learning the language. Participants of the Critical Language Scholarship Program are traditionally very diverse. Lots of different levels of experience with language and travel. Some students have traveled extensively or maybe have lots of experience speaking the particular language in question, but some may have very little experience, who've never left the US and are kind of have it at the kind of beginning stages of their language learning for that language. CLS is open to both undergraduate and graduate students. There are really all types of institutions and regions of the US that have representation within the program. Over 40% of the students who apply and who are accepted to the Critical Language Scholarship Program identify as students of color, and 24% are Pell Grant recipients. While you are there and participating in activities with your cohort, there are lots of resources available to you. There will also be a resident director at each overseas site who is there to kind of offer support as you are participating in the program. This is a very intensive program. You're going to be very, very busy. You complete the equivalent of 2 semesters worth of coursework while you are there over the summer. And you'll also be receiving, again, academic credit from Bryn Mawr for that. At the end of the program, you will also receive an OPI, or an oral proficiency interview certificate that demonstrates the progress that you've made in the program. This is an opportunity to really advance your career. There are many US companies that give advantage to candidates with language skills. And additionally, your experience in this kind of group-based immersive program will really build your experience in things like problem solving, communication skills, and other things that will make you very employable on the job market. In addition to that, CLS has a very extensive alumni network. There are lots of Department of State alumni resources and events that are open to CLS alumni. And this is kind of a big program benefit. That last bullet point on the slide here, alumni of CLS receive non-competitive eligibility for US government jobs. So if you have an interest in working for the government one day, this is a very, very cool thing, because if you are a CLS alumni, your application essentially goes in a separate pile. And there are certain positions that are available particularly to you as a CLS alumni and a CLS program participant. So, so this is definitely one of the biggest program benefits, especially for those of you who are interested in working for the government, working for the State Department, working for any other kind of government agency. This is a big plus. You can already start to apply. Actually, as a matter of fact, the deadline is very rapidly approaching for the scholarship. The national deadline is November 17th at 8 p.m. Eastern time. Keep in mind, we're in Central time, so it's Eastern time. There is an online application portal where you will set up an account and start to work on your online application at clsscholarship.org/apply. You can only apply for one language. This is very important. You do not apply for a specific country or a specific site. You pick your language, and only one. If you apply for more than one language, they will throw out both of your applications. So just keep that in mind. You're going to choose one language to apply for per application cycle. In order to have a completed application, you have to prepare unofficial transcripts from each college level institution that you have attended. Only one recommendation form. Typically, a good recommender is a college professor who knows you well. That's typically the recommended individual to write that kind of a recommendation for you. Doesn't necessarily have to be somebody with a PhD, or doesn't necessarily have to really be a college professor, but somebody who can comment on your academic suitability for the program is ideal for that. They really strongly suggest that you do not have high school teacher recommenders for this scholarship. So just something to keep in mind. If you have an idea about somebody who could write a recommendation letter for you and you want to talk about that with me first, you're welcome to do so. I'm going to give you my contact information at the end of this presentation. The application has 4 short answer essays, 200 to 300 words. They vary in length, but they're relatively short. And the personal statement, which is a little bit longer, 500 words. Each one of these essays has a very specific prompt. There are a variety of resources on the CLS webpage to help you brainstorm your answers to these essay prompts. And this is the most important part of your application. So this is the kind of part of this where I tell students, this is what I'm here for. I would like to help you with your essays so that we can get your drafts in kind of tip-top shape if you're really interested in applying for this. I'm happy to work with students to kind of help you prepare the most competitive essays that we can. So if you get started as early as possible and you contact me, I'm happy to help you with your essay drafts. Again, many students hear about the CLS scholarship and they think, okay, I'm not really sure if I'm qualified. Maybe I have a very specific area of interest, right? But really, ideal candidates for CLS do come from all different academic disciplines. We've had winners from UA from a wide variety of majors and academic fields. In order to kind of demonstrate your suitability for the program, you need to show that you're kind of prepared to succeed in the rigorous, intensive nature of this program, show that you're really excited and motivated to learn a critical language. And also, this last bullet point here on the slide is perhaps the most important. You need to make a clear connection between why you have chosen to study the target language. So let's say you would like to study Indonesian, right? Indonesian has to play some kind of a role in your future career plans. There needs to be a very clear connection between, like, this is why I need to study Indonesian because these are my future career plans, and Indonesian is somehow central to that. The clearer that connection is, the stronger your application will be. The selection committee is going to be also making sure that you've done your homework, that you've researched what are viable career paths for you, and how and why this particular language kind of fits into your with your chosen career. The CLS application website has a really great tips video that you should watch before you start to apply, that will help you kind of articulate that. And we'll give you some suggestions for how to do your research and to make sure you know how to articulate this in your essays. You can reach out to me. I am your CLS campus advisor. I'm going to give you my email information here in a second, but reaching out to other teaching faculty and academic advisors would also be very helpful. Again, that deadline is November 17th. Your recommendation letter will be due on November 20th. In terms of the timeline and when you will get notified for this, the semi-finalists, if you make it past the first round, you'll get notified in late January. If you are a finalist or a recipient of the scholarship, you will get notified in March. And most of the programs begin in June. And if you're looking for specific program dates for when each kind of language program runs, I believe that information is not up yet, but it should be very soon. If you visit the program institution website, you'll be able to find specific dates. If you have any questions, we'll hold them until the end. I still have one more scholarship opportunity that I'd like to talk about. I don't have much time to do so, but I'll try to be as fast as possible. My information is here. My email, tmkent@ua.edu. My office is in BB Comer 135. I'm mostly doing Zoom appointments right now, but please email me if you're interested in CLS. Okay, now I want to talk about Boren, which is also a US State Department sponsored scholarship, but it's a little bit different. CLS is a summer opportunity, and Boren does have some summer opportunities for studying abroad available, but it is more of a long-term program specifically. Also, in contrast to CLS, Boren awards, the majority of the awards that are given out are for programs of study that you select. So you will apply for and propose a program of study abroad at a separate institution, and then the Boren Awards will give you funding for that study abroad program. It is language intensive, and is in order to get the award, you have to demonstrate that the primary focus of your reason for wanting to go abroad is learning a language. And Boren Awards are also very much geared towards students who are interested in a long-term career with the federal government. There is a service requirement for this award, which I'll get to in a minute. But just to kind of talk about the differences between CLS and Boren. CLS, a summer program where you're attending a partner institution for the duration of the program. Boren Award has more opportunities for kind of self-study, so proposing a program of study abroad for which you will receive funding from Boren. In order to be eligible, you have to be a US citizen. You have to be studying a specific foreign language in an eligible world region. So there are certain parts of the world that are not eligible for a Boren Award. So if you want to study, for example, in Canada, New Zealand, Australia, the UK, any kind of English-speaking country, and any country in Western Europe, Boren is not the award for you. Like CLS, the Boren Award was developed with the intention of really increasing the number of students who are studying less represented languages, more critical languages, and in areas of the world where many American students do not frequently study abroad. So any country where the language is English and much of Western Europe are excluded from eligibility for this program. And I'm going to show you guys a map in a little bit that makes it a little bit more clear which particular countries and which languages are preferred for Boren Awards. You have to be matriculated, so that means currently enrolled at an accredited US institution for the duration of the program, or you have to be proving that you're applying to graduate school in order to be eligible for the awards. You cannot graduate and then like during the time that you're abroad. You have to actually maintain your enrollment as a student for the duration of the program. You also cannot be a citizen of the destination country. Your proposal for study abroad also includes an essay where you're going to have to describe how your plan of study relates or is going to help you address issues of national security as they relate to US interests. So Boren takes a very broad definition of national security. So you have to be prove that you are interested in addressing a particular issue that is of interest to the US on the national security stage. Now that could be anything. That could be national defense, that could be diplomacy, that could be sustainable development, that could be scientific cooperation, environmental issues, global health, right? It's a very broad definition. You have to make a specific, detailed, and focused argument about why that policy issue is important to you and how it ties in kind of with your future career goals. Ideally, your future career goals in the US government. Boren scholars commit to 1 year in an internationally focused position within the US government or other agency, but usually it's within the US government. Preferences are definitely given to applicants who demonstrate the desire to eventually work in government. The focus of your proposed program of study has to be on language and culture. You need to demonstrate that you have serious interest in language study before, during, and after Boren. You also need to demonstrate in your application materials that you have very realistic expectations for your proficiency gains. So it really needs to be a language intensive program that you are applying for. If you plan to go abroad and just take all of your classes in English, Boren doesn't want to see that. They really want to see that language is the focus of whatever program you have selected. So there are two types of eligible programs. I know we don't have much time, but I'm going to try to get through these as much as possible. So you can either, bullet point number 2, I'll start with that one first. You can either self-design your program. So you can go and select a program in one of Boren's preferred countries that is of interest to you, and then create your proposal that way. Or you can apply for one of Boren's flagship language initiatives, which are specific programs in specific locations that you apply for separately. They're in a different application pool than the rest of the Boren applications. So those are available in African languages, South Asian languages, Indonesian, and Turkish. And just to kind of get a sense of what these flagship language initiatives are, I'm just going to show you this one slide about the African flagship language initiatives. Usually what these entail are first coursework over the summer at a US institution that gives you intensive language preparation. And then you will spend the fall overseas, usually either taking courses, doing some kind of an internship, and then typically after that fall, you will apply for a kind of additional funding to stay in country during the spring, doing a variety of different things. You could be doing research, you could take on another internship or a job, but that's what the flagship languages initiatives look like. Again, there's one for African languages, there's one for South Asian languages, Indonesian, and Turkish. So these are kind of like structurally a little bit more similar to CLS, in that you apply for like a particular program that already exists. And they're kind of combined with summer language intensive programs the summer before you would leave. Again, there's one in Indonesian with the summer domestic program taking place in the University of Wisconsin. Same for the South Asian flagship languages initiatives. There's one for Hindi and there's one for Urdu, both of which eventually take you in the fall to India. The Turkish program takes place in Baku, Azerbaijan. Okay, so that's the flagship initiatives. The Boren scholarships that's the self-study option. So if you're an undergraduate applying for the self-study option, you're going to design your own program essentially. And we can talk, if this is something that you're interested in, this is something that we can talk about if we set up a meeting, kind of like what Boren is looking for in these programs of study, and how to make your application kind of the most competitive. If you're a graduate student, you may also apply for a Boren scholarship, but it's called a fellowship. So scholarships are for undergraduates, fellowships are for graduates. And your application, if you're a graduate student, will primarily exist of detailing your study plan. So you could go abroad to take language classes that you need in order to complete like a master's or a PhD. You can go abroad to take courses. You can do an academic internship. You can do graduate level research. All of that will be in your study plan for the fellowship. The award amounts for scholarships, there is preference given for going abroad for a year. A year for Boren is defined as at least 6 months abroad, and that's really what they want. Preference will be given to applicants interested in going abroad for that long. A maximum of $25,000 for those awards. For a semester, maximum of $12,500. If you are in STEM fields, you are eligible to apply to go abroad for just the summer, but only if you're in STEM fields. The maximum award that will be given to you is $8,000. And then you can see for the Boren fellowships, the corresponding awards on the other side. You're going to prepare a budget as part of your application, and that is something that you don't want to underestimate your costs. You should always apply for the maximum amount available. And again, that's something that we can talk about if you decide to apply. What does the program end up paying for? Kind of similar to CLS, they will pay for your round trip ticket, program tuition and materials, all of your medical insurance, your lodging and food costs, local transportation, visa fees, visa related travel. Things that are not covered are passports, vaccinations, any dependents, and personal travel and entertainment. I'm going to skip through this slide because I already mentioned this. I wanted to just show this very quickly, as I know I'm very much out of time and running over. But the country preferences here for the Boren, the countries that are in blue, the Boren does not anticipate sending students to these countries in 2021. So if you would like to go to a country in blue, you need to provide an alternative. So like, for example, if you want to study Russian in Russia, you may want to propose an alternative program in, say, Kazakhstan or Latvia or some other country where Russian is a language that is spoken. So again, that's just for those countries in blue. Here are the language preferences, all of which are located, can also be found on Boren's website. And fields of study, really very broad, STEM fields on the left and non-STEM fields on the right. You should really apply for the kind of the field of study that is the closest to your academic major. There's lots of federal job search support and resources for once you are a Boren alum. So if you're looking for a way to fulfill your service requirement, remember you are required to work for the government or to give service to the government for a year after you finish the scholarship. And there are a variety of resources available to you for helping you find a way to fulfill your service requirement. There is an employment seminar that takes place every year in September. There is an alumni network. And again, that's something, more info can be found on the website, or if you just want to talk to me. If you are in ROTC, we strongly encourage you to apply for the Boren. Typically ROTC cadets and midshipmen are very strong candidates for the scholarship, have already a proven track record of a commitment to national security and government service. So if you are in ROTC, please be sure to talk to me. Priority agencies for fulfilling the service requirement after you have been given the Boren Award are these 4 agencies: Defense, State, Intelligence, Community, and the Department of Homeland Security. However, other agencies are also currently employing Boren alumni. Very many of them go on to serve in the Peace Corps, U.S. Department of Agriculture, NASA, CDC, Department of Commerce, and the United States Congress. Application requirements can be found again on Boren's website. I'm rapidly running out of time, but you do need 2 letters of recommendation for the scholarship, 3 letters of recommendation if you are a graduate student. Transcripts can be unofficial. And if you are a fellow, so if you're applying for a graduate study, you can include an optional letter of overseas affiliation or a research abstract and methodology. I will skip over talking about essay requirements for now and just tell you that we have an application process on UA's campus. So the national deadline for the Boren scholarships is February 3rd. The national deadline for Boren fellowships is January 27th. However, if you are interested in applying for Boren, we also have an on-campus interview process that gives the selection committee additional information about your application. So we have a UA campus deadline of January 8th. It's not on the slide. It should be on the slide, but it's not. January 8th is when your application needs to be completed. If you are applying from the University of Alabama, there is an interview process that takes place the week after that deadline, where we will bring you in and we will talk to you about your reasons for wanting to apply. And then our comments based on that interview will then be forwarded on to the selection committee, and you will submit your final application by the national deadline. Again, February 3rd for scholarships and January 27th for fellowships. So the best kind of first step, if you're interested in applying for Boren or CLS, is to email me. My email is down here, down at the bottom under UA Boren Campus Representative, tmkent@ua.edu. Check out Boren's website if you need any other information. And I think that's it.